Hey everyone, and welcome to day 4 of my horror movie marathon. Today I will be reviewing movies, and that is 6 total. The only reason why I'm doing this instead of just one was because I just didn't know which one to really talk about in detail. I just thought since, they're all sort of like the same. The first Child's Play movie came out in 1988, and that was before my time, and it stars Catherine Hicks from Seventh Heaven, if you've seen that show, and Brad Dourif, who was also Grima Wormtongue in Lord of the Rings movies, and he plays the voice of the cursed doll. This movie, named Andy, trying to basically stay alive after his birthday present tries to attack him and kill him and take his soul. I thought this movie was pretty decent, especially when it first came out, and the concept would be every kid's nightmare. Obviously, I've had a lot of dolls growing up, and sometimes I would just have them sitting in the corner of my room, and all of a sudden I would look over and they would just be staring right at me, and I would just think, Ricky! The acting was okay, but it gets better by the second movie in 1990, that is when Child's Play 2 came out. It's probably my favorite of the bunch, so sorry guys, I wasn't just going to be talking about this movie. And I just think from the opening sequence, which had this sort of forensic style of putting Chucky back together when he was basically destroyed in the first movie, and now Andy Barclay has to live with his foster family after his mom gets put away. Things are looking good for him. I mean, he's got, all these things, except I'm always really suspicious when it comes to these families, sort of like, giving these kids, like, everything they want and all that stuff, just feeding their needs and all that. He's just trying to forget that the doll, ever existed, and he's trying to just have a normal life. But he believes that this doll actually existed. That's what I hate about these darn adults. They don't believe anything. I'd say this movie was even creepier than the first movie, surprisingly, and Chucky is known to have some kind of sick sense of humor, and he's always got these crazy lines in the movie, which I found him to be, pretty hilarious, even though I should be terrified by him, because he's like always wielding a knife somehow, always got tricks up his sleeve. I think this is one of the reasons why it makes him a really unique serial killer, unlike some of those other more popular serial killers out there. The acting vastly improved in this movie, and I found it to be really enjoyable. I could tell that the concept of the doll stayed the same, especially in appearance. Brad Dourif still brings his A game as one of the scariest voices of this character. The action and suspense was vastly improved. It was enjoyable overall. Now, a year later, Child's Play 3 comes out. The storyline, I just absolutely did not like this. It was really changed in tone since the first two. Now Andy's older, he gets sent to this military academy for one reason. I have no idea why. I guess he just couldn't take the heat. I just immediately felt like it was just so inconsistent with the other movies, besides the fact that Chucky was coming back to get him again. Crazy. I didn't really like all the military comedy thrown in. It was like me watching Full Metal Jacket all over again, but Chucky wasn't the mix. Really? Chucky hasn't been permanently turned into the doll just yet, which is really surprising because he kept on saying, like, oh my god, my nose is bleeding, I'm gonna be immortal. And I was just thinking, how much more time does he really need? Because he just keeps coming back, and it only gets worse from there until you see The Bride of Chucky. This is the 4th movie in the series, and surprisingly, if you've ever read a Goosebumps book, you probably come across The Bride of the Living Dummy. Now, this is basically the same concept in this movie. This movie, as far as the timeline goes, it takes place 7 years after the events of Child's Play 3. The Bride of Chucky showed a whole new side of the Chucky franchise, and also surprisingly it's the highest grossing movie in the whole franchise. One of Charles Lee Ray's old girlfriends named Tiffany picks up the Chucky doll, and she basically brings him back to life and makes him all look really creepy, which I found to be better than how he looked in the other movies. The concept was pretty interesting, but the acting was just not that great. Jennifer Tilly gives off this impression that she's just bad to the bone. when she and Chucky get into a fight, he basically turns her into a doll, and so now you've got these two dolls and going on a killing spree, and revenge couldn't be sweeter. They meet a young couple who want to get married. There are just two people I would never expect to see in this movie, one being John Ritter and Katherine Heigl. I didn't think their performances were that great. I personally think the ending of this movie was the best part of the entire movie, and sets up for the next movie to come, which is The Seed of Chucky. I remember when I first saw the trailer back in 2004, and I was like, this is very interesting. Another Lord of the Rings alum, Billy Boyd, plays the voice of Glenn, who is Chucky and Tiffany's son. When I first heard they were making this movie, I was just completely speechless. This franchise was definitely going places with just new ideas getting thrown around everywhere. I was like, dude, when's this never gonna end? The real Jennifer Tilly makes a cameo appearance while still playing the voice of Tiffany, and she ends up getting pregnant with Chucky's sperm, imagine that, implanted inside her, and it just gets crazy. Tiffany idolizes her, but then she gets reunited with Glenn. He's a girl as well named Glenda. He doesn't want to kill anyone and hates that his parents are murderers. He's also the one that thought he was Japanese. Jennifer ends up having twins. Now everything makes sense. Now can they please stop making Chucky movies? For real. But wait, there's more. Curse of Chucky. I didn't want to watch it, but hopefully it'll be the last one. I'm serious. Brad Dourif, who plays the voice of Chucky, returns in this movie with his daughter in real life playing the lead role. This interpretation of Chucky has him look very different than he was in the previous movie. I think he was almost like CGI than actual like doll at one point. I mean, his like facial features were just not on par with the originals. But like that was just a huge letdown. 9 years after The Seed of Chucky, they decide to make this direct-to-DVD crap. I know they were trying to bring back the same scare tactics from the original 3 movies that actually worked somehow, but it just wasn't working in this movie. It wasn't that great. It just seemed like a cheap way to make this movie, happen. However, what really got me was that they were bringing this whole movie full circle all the way to the events that were happening in the beginning of this franchise. It was kind of cool that they did that, but overall, this movie was just pretty bad. Phew, glad that's over. So let me know in the comments which Chucky movie, if any, is your favorite. Do you think they should stop making them all together? Come back tomorrow for my next horror movie review. As always, you guys can subscribe to my channel. I've got more movie reviews, movie updates. Come back every for a Child Thursday video. You guys can also like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you guys later.